Hello guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video I am going to explain the SPI protocol, including its signals, communication modes, full duplex operation, multi-slave connections, practical timing, and a simple C example. SPI stands for Serial Peripheral Interface. It is a synchronous communication protocol commonly used to connect a microcontroller to devices such as sensors, displays, analog to digital converters, and flash memories. The master generates the clock signal and controls when communication begins. SPI normally uses 4 signals: SCLK, MOSI, MISO, and chip select. SPI is popular because it is fast, simple, and deterministic. Unlike I2C, SPI does not include device addressing inside each data frame. Instead, the master uses a separate chip select signal to activate the required slave device. The standard SPI connection uses 4 main signals. SCLK is the serial clock generated by the master. Every clock pulse controls when 1 bit is transferred. MOSI means master out, slave in. This signal carries commands, register addresses, and data from the master to the slave. MISO means master in, slave out. It carries data from the selected slave back to the master. Chip select, also called CS or slave select, activates the required slave. In most devices, chip select is active low. This means the slave becomes active when its CS pin is pulled to ground. For example, when a microcontroller reads a sensor register, it first pulls chip select low, sends the register address through MOSI, receives the result through MISO, and finally returns chip select high. SPI stands for Serial Peripheral Interface parameters: clock polarity and clock phase. Clock polarity, or CPOL, defines the idle level of the clock signal. When CPOL is 0, the clock stays low while the bus is inactive. When CPOL is 1, the clock stays high while the bus is inactive. Clock phase, or CPHA, defines which clock edge is used to sample the data. The first transition away from the idle clock level is called the leading edge. The second transition is called the trailing edge. By combining 2 possible polarity values and 2 possible phase values, SPI creates 4 operating modes. The master and slave must use exactly the same mode. Otherwise, the receiver may sample data while it is changing, producing shifted or corrupted values. SPI mode 0 uses CPOL equal to 0 and CPHA equal to 0. The clock is idle low. Data is sampled on the rising edge and changed on the falling edge. The first data bit must already be stable before the first rising clock edge. SPI mode 1 also uses an idle low clock, but CPHA is equal to 1. In mode 1, the first rising edge is used to shift or prepare the data. The receiver samples the data on the following falling edge. So, both mode 0 and mode 1 have the same idle clock level. The difference is the edge on which the data is sampled. Always check the slave device datasheet before configuring the SPI peripheral. Selecting the wrong phase can shift the received byte by 1 bit. SPI stands for Serial CPOL equal to 1 and CPHA equal to 0. The clock remains high while the interface is idle. The leading edge is therefore a falling edge, and the receiver samples data on this falling edge. Data normally changes on the rising edge. SPI mode 3 also uses an idle high clock, but CPHA is equal to 1. The first falling edge shifts the data, while the following rising edge samples it. Therefore, mode 2 samples on falling edges, while mode 3 samples on rising edges after the first alignment edge. The 4 SPI modes only define clock idle level and sampling timing. They do not change the direction of MOSI and MISO, or the basic structure of the SPI bus. SPI is naturally a full duplex protocol. This means the master and slave can transmit data at the same time. Inside both devices, SPI normally uses transmit and receive shift registers. During each clock pulse, the master shifts 1 bit onto MOSI, while the slave shifts 1 bit onto MISO. At the same moment, both devices sample the incoming bit. After 8 clock pulses, the master has transmitted 1 complete byte and also received 1 complete byte. For example, the master may send hexadecimal 9A while the slave simultaneously returns hexadecimal 55. Even when the master only wants to read data, it must still transmit something to generate the clock pulses. This transmitted value is often called a dummy byte. SPI stands for Serial Peripheral Slave Devices. The SCLK and MOSI signals are normally shared between all slaves. MISO can also be shared, but only the selected slave is allowed to drive it. Each slave requires its own chip select signal. For example, CS1 may select a sensor, CS2 may select a flash memory, and CS3 may select a display. To communicate with the sensor, the master pulls CS1 low, while keeping CS2 and CS3 high. Unselected slaves must place their MISO output in a high impedance state. This electrically disconnects them from the shared MISO line. If two slaves drive MISO at the same time, bus contention can occur. This can corrupt data and, in extreme cases, create excessive current between output drivers. A practical SPI transaction begins when the master pulls chip select low. The master then generates clock pulses and sends a command, register address, or data through MOSI. Consider a device where bit 7 of the command byte indicates a read operation. To read register 0F, the master may send hexadecimal 8F. During this first byte, the value received on MISO may be meaningless or equal to 0. The master then sends a dummy byte, such as hexadecimal 00, to generate another 8 clock pulses. During these pulses, the slave returns the requested register value through MISO. In this example, the returned value is hexadecimal 3C. After the final bit, the master pulls chip select high to complete the transaction. This SPI stands for Serial Peripheral Interface. The SPI transfer function waits until the transmit register is empty. It then writes the outgoing byte into the SPI data register. Next, it waits until a received byte becomes available and returns that byte to the calling function. To read the identification value of an SPI flash memory, the software first pulls chip select low. It sends the read identification command, hexadecimal 9F. Then it sends a dummy byte, hexadecimal 00. While this dummy byte is transmitted, the flash memory returns the first identification byte through MISO. Finally, chip select is returned high. In a real project, register names and status flags depend on the selected microcontroller, but the transaction sequence remains almost the same. Several practical checks can prevent most SPI problems. First, confirm that the master and slave use the same SPI mode. A polarity or phase mismatch usually produces shifted or completely incorrect data. Second, verify the bit order. Most SPI devices transfer the most significant bit first, but some devices support least significant bit first. Use a clock frequency that is supported by the slave. A device may work at a low speed but fail when the clock is increased. Keep SPI tracks or wires short, especially for high-speed communication. Long connections increase ringing, noise, and timing errors. Check the chip select setup and hold times given in the datasheet. Finally, make sure that only one slave drives the MISO signal at a time. SPI is fast, simple, and highly effective for short-distance communication between devices on the same circuit board. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please share, like, and comment below. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos.